Before this video starts, I just want to give a massive shout out to all my channel members. If you want to receive a shout out, then become a channel member today and you'll be shown on screen like all these other channel members here. Anyways, enjoy the video. In version 14.3, a brand new Epicfest Uber was added to the game. This being the Epicfest variant of Salvation's Daughter Lunacia, we have Death's Daughter Lunacia. Their kit comes equipped with floating, angel, traitless, and Aku targeting that allows her to be strong against them. She is also capable of weakening them on top of having shield piercing, counter surge, an explosion, and immunities to freeze, slow, curse, toxic, and explosions. In this video, I want to go over her performance as a brand new Epicfest unit and to see if she lives up to the title of Fest unit. While the video will mostly focus on level 30 stats, the Luna shown in the footage is at level 50. I think the best place to start is to discuss her general stats. At level 30, Luna has 110,000 health and deals 15,000 damage, with the explosion making it effectively 30,000 damage. She also has a range stat of 350 with an Omni Strike of -100 to 450, a speed of 15, a cooldown of 104.53 seconds, and 4 knockbacks with a cost of 3,750. She is also strong against floating, angel, traitless, and Aku. Her weaken against her 4 targets lasts for 3 seconds or 3.6 seconds with treasures, and her shield pierce chance is 20%. Luna's kit gives her a ton of usage across many different enemies in the game. Her strong ability allows her to be an extremely tanky unit, sporting an effective health stat of 221,000 health against Aku and traitless, or 276,000 against floating and angel. For damage, she deals an effective 45,900 against Aku and traitless, and deals 55,000 against floating and angels. Her DPS against her traits is also rather impressive, with 8.5k DPS against Aku and traitless, or 10,000 DPS against floating and angel. While her damage may not be all that high, especially when compared to some of her other contemporaries, the damage is still rather solid. Her health stat, however, is extremely high. While it may not be as high as specialized tanks for the traits she targets, this effective health pool allows her to tank a ton of hits against all of her targets. This doesn't even factor in her weaken. Luna's weaken is a pretty impressive 60% uptime when we're factoring in the explosion, or around 70% against floating and angel enemies. This rather long weaken uptime can effectively give Luna a resistance against all of her 4 traits. Her already huge base health stat gives her an extremely impressive effective weaken health pool, having 442,000 HP against traitless and Aku, and 552,500 health against floating and angel. This gigantic effective health pool allows Luna to sponge up so many hits for a wide range of enemies. Seeing as her standing range is at 350, her explosion damage will affect the following areas. 275 to 425 range take the full hit, 175 to 275, and 425 to 525 take 70% damage, and 75 to 175 and 525 to 625 range take 40% damage from the explosion. Damage isn't the biggest reason you would be using her, but seeing as the weaken can stretch so far out, it can snipe even super backliner enemies such as Kamel and Loki, to give a few examples. She also has a wide range of immunities that also allow her to be used against a massive amount of her targets. Slow immunity allows her to counter Queen Bee and Crockley, Freeze immune counters Henry and Chick-fil-A, Curse immune allows her to be a viable option against Master Ural and some of the floating relics, Toxic immunity make Gobble and Zalo easier to handle, and Explosion immunity allows her to be used against the Wicked Bahamut, all to give some examples of where her immunities are useful. While her Curse immunity allows her to be used against Ural without her abilities being shut down, she isn't Surge immune. However, what she lacks in immunity, she instead carries Counter Surge. This is mainly meant to allow her to fight against the plethora of Death Surges that Aku enemies will spawn, but it could also be a solid unit against Cappy Jr., Saint Dober, Engabaru, and Mini Angel Cyclone. The surge spam all of these enemies have can allow Luna to further boost her weaken time against these enemies. However, it should be noted that she still receives full damage from the surge, so it shouldn't be something that is relied on for either damage or weaken uptime. Her performance against Cappy Kawano is pretty lackluster, however, due to Kawano having a ton of surge spam that easily eats through her health, and the fact that Kawano is weaken immune. The last part of her kit to go over is her shield piercing. Her shield pierce is rather interesting to say the least. She only has a 20% chance to pierce shields, giving her an average shield break every 27 seconds or so. However, I believe this low chance is meant to be supplemented by her counter surge, as enemies like Cindersnake and Condemned Pang are extremely common in Aku-based stages, and with them constantly firing death surges that will hit Luna and she will counter surge them back. These counter surges over time could lead to a lot of shield pierces that wouldn't have happened before, but if the stage lacks death surge spam or enemies that spam surge, then it's best to bring additional shield piercing support alongside her. Now, seeing as she's an Epicfest variant, inevitable comparisons between both her Uber and Epicfest variants will occur, so I've decided to make this chart showing all of their differences. Epicfest Luna has higher health and a lower cost, but deals less damage, has a shorter standing range, and has less knockbacks, and is ever so slightly slower, and has a slightly longer cooldown. Uberfest Luna is more offensively oriented, with higher attacking stats, a much more offensive crowd control ability, and a higher standing range. Epicfest Luna, however, has a much higher health stat and a much more defensive crowd control effect than Weaken to further boost her health, along with the fact that her having less knockbacks means she will be able to hold her ground for longer. Her shorter standing range also means she will be more of a wall in this regard. It does mean that for some enemies, however, can outrange her, but not Uberfest Luna. Some of these enemies being Sleipnir, Chick-fil-A, Moth, the Valkyrie Twins, and I Am Face, to name a few examples. Epicfest Luna's wider range of immunities means she won't be interrupted as much when weakening her enemies. The comparison of the two Lunas shows that they both have very different roles, where one is more of an offensive powerhouse, and the other is a defensive wall that allows her to stay alive a lot longer than most units. So, how good is Death's Daughter Lunacia? I'd say she holds up extremely well as a Fest unit, with her being able to make a wide range of enemies easier to deal with by reducing their offensive power, and being able to act as an amazing tanker because of it. Her targets are all rather aggressive traits with a ton of threats dealing huge chunks of damage, so putting a stop to that is always nice. While her damage output isn't the highest per hit, the fact that she's able to make herself survive for so long means that she's capable of accumulating tons of damage over time. Counter Surge is an extremely rare ability, with it only being present on an Ultra form and a collab unit before her, and it allows her to further boost her damage output, weaken uptime, and shield pierce chance, which is pretty neat. Her shield pierce on its own, however, is pretty low, so having extra shield pierce support with her is needed most of the time. Her immunities also allow her to be an even better tank, as she won't be interrupted when delivering statuses. With all that said, I want to thank you for watching this analysis of Epicfest Lunacia. If you thought this insight was interesting, then be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy BattleCats content, and comment down below your thoughts on Epicfest Lunacia. I'd love to hear what you all think of them. Also, shout out to the following channel members: Dr. Deadly, Potato King, Gross Cat the Best, Barely Grover, Ian Dean, Megamix, Uberless, Justice Shark, and Ereborel for being silver members or higher. Becoming a channel member supports what I do in a way that helps keep the lights on, and channel members receive an exclusive role on my Discord server, for which you can find a link to in the description down below. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day.